so hard to fall asleep. The weather always makes my nose bleed. Makes my nose bleed. It's so hard to believe that one day I'll feel peace. I want control over my life, I want that driver's seat. Yeah, it's not you that I need. You push me down when I'm weak. You were never there for me. Go pick up your keys and leave. I can't go back to you, my friend. Don't even ask, don't play pretend. You think you're everything I need, but I gotta live. Can't go back to you, my friend. Don't even ask, don't play pretend. Cause you think you are everything I need, but I gotta leave. I didn't know that it'd be so hard yet for me to relax, finding my purpose. I don't know what makes me happy, don't know what makes me sad. I sit around and ponder emotions in my head. I give up, no matter what I do, not enough. I try so hard to stop, I give in to every single bad temptation. And I just wanna feel like a good person, a good person. When I wake every single morning now, I give up. No matter what I do, I give up. I give up. And I just wanna feel like a good person, a good person. When I wake every single morning now, I give up. I give up. I just wanna feel free without any expectations. So many people think they know me, but they only know my music. And there's so much opportunity, so hard to make the most of it. When you feel so depressed and your bed whispers just to stay in it. I think I've had enough of it. I know that I'm not gonna win. Surrendering my everything, I'm giving up, I'm giving in. Nobody understands what I'm going through. Can't explain when you don't come from it. I give up, no matter what I do, not enough. I try so hard to stop, I give in to every single
Test. Okay, there we go. Yeah, weird. What's going on? It's Tuesday. We're back after the long weekend. Hope y'all had a nice weekend. Oh, get some more work to do. Leading up to Adepticon, working on super cool dragons. Been doing some stuff on my own time. Got this guy. Ugh. Red dragon. And a couple of other ones that I'm doing. But I'm going to be working on Ionus Cryptborn for stream project just because he's super cool. So last time, working on the face, blocking in some other stuff, and now we're going to get into the armor, the dragon harness, whatever we want to call it. Get into all of that. So let's get some paints out. Get to work. Some metallics. And I'm going to want some matte colors as well. So player J coming over the wall. I think we're good. All right, so kind of like when we were airbrushing the gold armor for our main guy, I'm going to take some metallics. I'm going to be mixing in some matte paints. So what I mean by that is we've got stuff like your bronze, your gold, metallic paints, and then stuff like warm brown, which is just a flat color matte paint. So by mixing those matte paints in, takes the shine down just a little bit. It also lets us control the color a little bit more. And lets us read highlights and things like that in our metallics that you normally wouldn't be able to get. So I'm taking this bronze and a couple of drops each of copper and gold, and then I'm going to grab some warm brown. Mix that right in there. Up. Add a little bit more. Get a nice brown base color metallic paint. So we're just going to go around and block in all the stuff that we want to be the bronze armor. Doing this can also help your golds cover a little bit easier. Darker paints like bronze are usually fine, but more vibrant gold paints can be finicky sometimes. So by taking that gold paint that you got your art set on and maybe mixing in a little bit of red, a little bit of orange, maybe a little bit of yellow, and help that gold paint stick to the model a little bit better. Gotta get that edge in there without getting too sloppy. There go Matthew. What's up, dude? Oh, okay, I see. Gotta get the hard to reach spots first. And initially, when I was looking at this model, I was kind of thinking to be able to do all these like armor panels as like a separate piece, like sub-assemblies, but other than these little shoulder pad pieces, everything is like molded onto the dragon. I had to shift to having to hand paint all this. Chest pieces, like really awkward in a number of places. just enough to where painting in this detail, but it's not going to get on the skin. Dang it. Looking good there. Ready to knock out the rest of these big chunks. Then we'll come back with a smaller brush. Do the little buckles and such. And we've got caps on the horns. no caps on those other little horns. Okay, cool. So this is the dragon mount for a character in the game Age of Sigmar. Fantasy game. Same company makes Warhammer 40,000, so fantasy is Warhammer Age of Sigmar. Doesn't really look like that much of a dragon because its wings are separate pieces that I have off to the side. So that I could paint it a little bit easier. So the wings are kind of like folded up to its sides. So if I glued the wings on, it'd be really difficult to get my brush in there. I don't know what WS6 means. It's a little thin up there on the saddle. I'm just let that dry before I try to go back over it. Keep working around the model. These areas are a little thin. Second go around.
Here comes trouble, putting on a show. Like a domino, I fall. Another bottle, don't know what to say. Send me on my way to you. I know you're all that I want, but I don't even know your name. So don't go and leave me lonely. I'll show you another way. And you say it's a one-night thing, but I want something more than that. So don't go and leave me lonely. I'll show you another way. So don't go and leave me lonely. I'll show you another way. Eyes wide open, holding out for you. Tell me that it's true. Did you notice? I saw you over there, looking like a heartbreaker. I know you're all that I want, but I don't even know your name. So don't go and leave me lonely. I'll show you another way. And you say it's a one-night thing, but I want something more than that. So don't go and leave me lonely.
Spot. Super tricky.
So don't go and leave me lonely. I'll show you another way. I'm feeling it. My bones telling me it's right. It's so different. But when you take me to the light, it's like a cigarette. And I'm burning at your lips. Start so innocent. Then you kick it up, and now I want to show you all what you deserve. And know we got so much to learn. And just like when we said I do, and it's only you that can do like that. Yeah. I like it with you. I like it with you. I like it with you. In the sand that we'll dance. We ain't got no plans. You. I like it with you. I like it with you. And the hours will melt all night long. I like it when you close all the curtains. The ticking of the touch and the burdens. We got all the time, ain't no worries. Oh, I like it with you in it. And make me take a little look. Can we finish it? And then get busy getting back into the thick of it, yeah. Take a second, breathe it in. Now out again. I'm still understanding just how
You don't miss anywhere. This whole throne thing is kind of tricky. The last thing is these two little shoulder guards.
I like it with you. I like it with you. I like it with you. In the sand that we dance. We ain't got no plans.
Then Do the little buckles and stuff. Anytime you're working with metallic paints, constantly rinsing out your brush. That metal fleck from drying up inside of your bristles. There. Where? Do a quick pass. Couple areas. A little thin. Show a smaller brush real quick. Dark Horse, what's up? So this is a mixture of purples. But the highlights are transparent coats of fluorescent purple and fluorescent magenta from Pro Girl. So I'm going to take that same color we were using, mixture of bronze and brown and gold, and I'm just going to mix that with more gold. And I'm going to mix in a little bit of orange. A little bit of orange red as well. Hey, yeah, it's looking really cool so far. Take my little baby dry brush here. That paint loaded up in there. And just very gently I'm gonna start just buffing that in. Keeping a really light hand. I want to barely be touching the surface. Troy, thanks for liking the stream. Really important that when I'm doing this, I'm just barely touching the surface. Gently buffing that metal up. I don't want to be flicking the dry brush all over the place. They could flick some of those metal flecks off onto the skin. Yeah. What this is allowing us to do is very, very smoothly highlight up our metal surface. So the problem you have with metallic paints is they're relatively easy to paint with. But when it comes to our normal techniques of trying to layer up highlights and do glazing and stuff like that, the metallics don't really like to do that. Of course, there's always doing stuff like non-metallic metal workups, but that takes a lot of time, and it may not be something that everybody's comfortable with. Whereas this uses the same metallic paints we normally use, just tones them down a little bit with that matte color added. And this technique is what allows us to smoothly highlight them. You can do this with smaller detail. Just takes a little bit of practice using your normal brushes, but kind of what you want to do is almost picture your small brush like a dry brush. And we just want a little bit of damp paint in there. We want to use the same technique. We're just gently buffing up that surface. This guy's pretty big, so we can get away with using our little baby tri brush. But say if you're painting like Space Marine shoulder pad details, totally do this with a little small brush. Okay. Now let's go to an even brighter gold. Got our, oh yeah, bright gold, perfect name. Let's do something similar. Just take that. A little bit of orange, throw that in there. little bit of yellow. Do some warm yellow. That mixed up. We're just going to do the same thing. Our little small dry brush. And after this step, we can come in with more standalone metallic paint. Do like a final, like actual dry brush. And that'll tie it together nicely. Then I'll also have to take a brighter metallic to hit all of our little buckles and such. Good. Yeah. Grab some light bronze. Last little bit. before I do anything else, I do need to rinse out my dry brushes. I always have a bad habit of forgetting to do that. And get our little buckles and such.
Talk to me, show me all that hurts you deep. Soak my shirt in all your tears, so I can talk with you. Breathe to me, tales of things that haunt dreams. Set the brush and paint the scene, so I can breathe with you. The gravel spikes your feet, the cloth wraps on your knees. So darling, when the rain comes crashing in, I'll be right here and listen to you sing.
Yep. Some water.
Shout to me what they made you out to be. Burst the glass and start to scream. I can shout with you.
Kenny coming in with a big rave. What's up, dude? Welcome, everybody. Working on this dragon mount. We're just doing workup for all of the gold armor. I was just hitting these little belt buckle pieces and then doing a small amount of cleanup, some water, doing some dry brushing to buff up those metals. I'm gonna polish them up through different shades of gold. A little bit of particle fleck, but it's nothing some water can't fix. Thanks again for that raid, dude. Well, so we got gold is looking really good. So we just got a couple of more little things to do before he's ready for some targeted washes. And I think it's just the little talons, this chair back leather section, and just like getting some base coats on his little base topper thing that he's standing on. Some kind of like chaos ruin or something. I'm just gonna get some full black for the claws. Yeah, it works really, really good. I prefer to do it that way when working with metallic paints, just kind of to sort of like buff the paint rather than highlight it, because metallic paints don't really like to layer into each other the same way that matte paints do. And even though I was using some dry brushes, like some like semi-wets and then dry, you can do that same technique on smaller surfaces using your brush. You can just kind of do the same thing. You treat your normal brush as kind of like a dry brush, get most of that paint out of there, and then just gently rub that damp paint into the surface to create that polished look. I like rotate them off a little bit, get the look correct. Stuff on the other sides could be a little hard to see sometimes. Um, mm, you know what? I'll just use that same warm brown I used in our metallic mix as our kind of backing for the chair. Okay. Easy peasy. Very cool, yeah. I'm really liking how the dragon's turning out. I think the color combo is just really cool. You know, it's basic color theory of greens and purples. We're just kind of skewing that a little bit with the kind of ocean green and teal colors. And then both of those look great with gold. All right. So the next thing I want to do is just get some base layers down on the base. I think I used dark umber for this guy's base. I'm trying to match it. I literally painted this yesterday. Yeah, it looks like dark umber. So, you know, just some basic old brown earth and blue gray rock. hard to go wrong with those classics. Get everything locked in. Give this a solid varnish to seal all that paint in, so that really work the wash. So since I want that to set overnight, what I'll do is afterwards we'll do a little bit of work on the rider, on the main body. It's my tri brush. It's fast. Oh, it's for me. A friend of mine asked me to jump into the Age of Sigmar team tournament at Adepticon. He had a last second drop and needed me. So I was like, well, I don't know how to play that game, but I will give it a shot. I'm not a big fantasy guy. So I was like, if I do this, it's got to be models that I think are cool. And it's got to be like as few models as possible. So he was like, all right, get this guy and like 3 little dragons. I was like, all right, done. I think dragons are cool. I'll enjoy painting those. So Ionus Cryptborn has been fun so far. And then I got these like $20 plastic dragon kits from Dungeons and Lasers. As the I don't know what the unit itself is called, like the Dragon Riders, the Stormcast Dragon Riders. They're like crazy expensive, and they only come in a pack of 2, and so it's like I would have to buy 2 boxes to get the 3, and I was like, no, that's dumb. So I was like, we're just gonna have like Ionus Cryptborn and like his pack of dragons. So I have this guy that I'm working on, $20 kit, hard plastic, great detail, very cool. And then I got put these together today. I got these like wolf dragons. I guess they're actually like wyverns or whatever, but I don't know. I'm not a dragonologist. Put some Sigmar bits on there. So these would be the other 2. Yeah. $20 for those. A lot of fun. Yeah, I think those are new. I hadn't seen them before. I've known that Dungeons and Lasers stuff have made really cool dragons, and um, but when I looked them up on Amazon, that was one of the ones that popped up, and I was like, that's pretty tight. They got a whole bunch of different types. So what I really wanted was to paint the what's his name, Carandus, the named character dragon that the Stormcast have. Um, but the people that run the Sigmar team tournament are a bunch of big fucking babies. And they're like, you can't have any models that are more than like 500 points on their own. I was like, well, that's dumb and stupid and lame. Just want to paint a big old dragon. So I had to settle for Ionus Cryptborn. Yeah, I was like, dude, I like because we were talking about it. And I was like, first choice, uh, Kragnos. I'm like, Kragnos is super cool, and they were like, well, you can't have stuff that's that expensive. And I was like, well, what about the named dragon guy? He's cool. And they're like, nope, he costs that much too. 'Cause even like I think the only army that I would paint if I were to ever get into Sigmar would be orcs. Because I think orcs are fun to paint, like no matter what the system is. And the Sigmar orcs are really cool looking. And I was like, and you can have Ragnos. Um, but since you couldn't do that, I was like, well, the Stormcast dragons are your second choice. They're cool. Skull. Rock. I was really hoping that I could paint this guy separate from his base. But the way the dragon like attaches to it is really weird. And I was like, man, the only way this is gonna work is if I just glue him to the base and like assemble it properly. Supposedly the data slate's tomorrow. I don't really put any stock in internet rumors. So maybe it will, maybe it won't. I have to go to a tournament this weekend. So regardless of whether or not it comes out tomorrow or Thursday or Friday, whenever, it's not gonna affect me until after Adepticon. Although I do think it is needed. The data 40k right now is pretty stale. But I think that's more of the additions fault than the meta. Yeah. So, I mean, like, I'm happy that it's happening, but I don't need to worry about it until after Adepticon. So I think I have a GT in April also. So I got plenty of time to figure out what I'm doing. So if one happens now, so that would be March, April, May, June. I don't know if one would happen again in June. They're supposed to do one quarterly. So I guess it would depend on like when they did them last year, like what months they did them in. Well, if they do one around a GW Open, they're going to release it whenever is most beneficial for their tournament. And typically, the prevailing opinion is that people don't like going to tournaments right after the new stuff releases and then like still keep playing the old stuff. So like they'll probably release it in that Goldilocks zone of like here's the new stuff, but people still have time to like try some stuff and get their lists in order before rules cut off for that event. Because like everybody's kind of pissy that the data slate is happening now rather than earlier because it kind of screws over Adepticon. Because everybody wants to play like the more balanced state of the game with the new stuff. And so now it's like, well, Games Workshop doesn't like telling anybody when they're going to do anything because they don't care about anybody but themselves. So Adepticon is in this position. Well, like it's happening right at the point where it's like too close to do like use it for Adepticon. So it's just sort of like everybody's like scrambling, and it just puts the TOs in like a tough spot. Let's see. Let's do like a quick kind of rusty metal. Let's see, I had here we go, magnesium. Orange. Yeah, that's cool. From what I hear, the GW Opens are like, as far as like kind of all comers tournament, it's pretty cool for like the pageantry and everything. I personally think that their system is whack, but you know, fine. That's why I don't go to them. But I don't poo poo it for other people. Ah, I gotcha. Yeah. Is GT? I think that's his name. Still with Play on Tabletop. I remember meeting him years and years ago. He's a cool dude. I'm sure that the open is going to be a ton of fun. Tried to go twice, and both times it just wasn't in the cards. Uh, they have I don't know if they're gonna do it again, but they have kind of this bad habit of trying to choose like the most prestigious place to hold their event, which is usually like a big downtown convention center. And since they don't really like research the dates, they just take like a date that works for them. There was one that we tried to go to in Tacoma, and there was some kind of like other really big event in town. I think it was some kind of like charity marathon 5K or some such. I don't know. But like every hotel in the like reasonable distance uh was completely sold out, or the prices were so jacked up that I was like, wow, this is like just a break point of too expensive to go to. Because like they were doing it in Tacoma, and Tacoma, you have to fly into SeaTac Airport, which is like 20 miles from the like downtown Tacoma area. And so I'm like, okay, well, we're gonna have to get like an Uber down there, and that's gonna be a lot. Um, and so then we were looking at hotels, and it's like every single hotel within like a 15-mile radius was either sold out or like so jacked up because of this huge event that was in town. Where it's like 3 nights at a Motel 6 was like $700. And I'm just like, bro, no way. I'm not, no, it's not happening. Like, I refuse to pay that much for a shitty hotel. Um, and so it just hit that break point of like, this is just not worth it. Um, and so then we were like, okay, that's a wash. We'll do the one in Tampa. Because Kenny's out in Florida, and like we'll get to go and hang out or whatever. And then a fucking hurricane happened, canceled the event. And I mean, like if they had done it somewhere in Florida that was more inland, it probably wouldn't have even been that big of a deal. But because it was like literally on the like the biggest like oceanfront downtown part of Tampa, of course it had to get shut down. Got that locked in. Well, been painting for about 2 hours, so that's more than enough time. We got a lot done today. Good. All right. So, no stream on Friday because I will be driving up to LA for a GT. And then the week after that, I'll have only a handful of days to work. So, wait. I think I have one whole week in between. Yeah, I do. Boys, yeah. So next week we'll come back on Tuesday and do we'll have 3 streams before Adepticon. So the next time you see this model, what I want to have done is kind of everything assembled and like the washes. And so then like on the stream, we'll be able to do final detailing and whatnot. And then I also need to do like one model for Halo. I think so. Yeah. So probably like the last couple of streams will be me working on like the Master Chief from Halo, because I'll be playing in a small Halo event at Adepticon. That's the only model that's needs to get painted. Yeah, thanks for hanging out, everybody. Let's find somebody to raid, though. Get the party going. It's like Useless Wizard. I haven't raided him in a while. Let's raid him. All right, I'm gonna start this up. Get on out of here. I'll see y'all next time.